everyone, today we're going to be doing a Q&A with a couple of the voice actors from Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Donna. My name's Daniel, but I'll let them introduce themselves real quick.
Hi, I'm Brianna Knickerbocker, and I voiced Donna in Ys 8.
Hi guys, I'm Sean Chiplock. I voiced Hummel.
Let's go ahead and get started with the questions. First question. What did you know about the Ys series or Ys 8 before recording the lines?
You know, it's so funny. A lot of people ask this in general, like at conventions and stuff. When we get the audition, we get a little bit of a character breakdown. If we're lucky, we'll get a character image, which I did for Donna. And then we'll get some lines. And we Google, you know, of course we Google. And it's like, oh, and I found out like it's a really cool series and it's very fantastical and adventure and interpersonal stories, and it was really, really beautiful, and I got really excited about it, and I was like, oh, I like Donna, and I like this series, and I hope I get to be in it.
The main thing that I knew about Ys, and this was because of a mix of hearing music tracks on YouTube throughout the years, and also just the descriptions that I would see, and I actually own about half the series thanks to Steam sales, even though I haven't been able to make the time to get around it, because around when I started buying them was when work was picking up, so like I was working just as often as I had time to myself. But I had always immediately known it as being this, I wouldn't say relentless, but straightforward difficulty RPG.
Were there any lines or memorable moments that stood out to you?
There were so many. I mean, a gajillion. I have so many funny stories and sad stories. Like when the stuff with her parents and stuff, like that was really, really, really hard for me. And I remember I was super emotional and the director got emotional and we were all just like, oh my God, it was just breaking our hearts. That really, really stands out to me. And then also, there was a section of lines that, and it usually happens in video games where it's timed. We have to match the J or Japanese timing because of lip flaps or when it's going to piece together in the game. And kid you not, for like 100 timed lines in a row, I somehow, just on the first try, matched the Japanese timing literally to the millisecond. And we were all like, what is happening? It was so weird.
For lines, it was definitely when Hummel first did his lines of, you know, never ask questions, never open the package. I knew that it was a reference to something at first, but I wasn't sure what. So figuring out that it was a loving homage of a reference later on was very interesting. The action part, though, the memorable moment, there's one that's early on. I think it's shortly after Hummel joins, where the characters are running along this seafront, and there's this giant boulder that ends up being, I think, a crab that has like a boulder for its shell. And I appreciate it for for two reasons. The first was because I love that it had that surprise element of like, hey, the world is living and there are elements of it that you can interact with. But also because it really was what hammered home like the action element of the game. The fact that you could just skirt along the beachfront if you wanted and move on to your next objective. But if you wanted to challenge yourself, here are all these enemies within these areas that kind of serve as mini arenas that you can use to just get distracted by a battle for a little bit. And I did like that the game offered that to you without forcing you into it.
Which characters besides your own do you like the design of?
I honestly, that's one of my favorite things about this game. The character designs are so cool. I am partial to Hummel just because he kind of has this Howl's Moving Castle vibe to him. And I'm a Miyazaki nerd, like, and Howl's is one of my favorite Miyazaki films. So I am partial to that design.
Ricotta immediately caught my interest because as someone who has a spouse that is shorter and very high energy and very committed, I find myself drawn to those characters because they embody that sort of enthusiasm that my wife does on a regular basis. So she was an immediate winner in my book. I also have to give kudos to the Revali XP Shoebill. I mean, he's a blue bird with a serious expression. I would be remiss with myself if I didn't give him some attention. And then probably I always try to pick one that I like, maybe not because of the character look, but because of the clothing design. Because clothing design is something that I've come to realize. I am amazed with how artists can come up with so many different styles of clothing regardless of the size of the cast. And I have to say, man, this one's really difficult. I'm sorry to throw Donna under the bus, but Sarai's just got it going. She's got the whole outfit going for her.
What were some of the challenges you found in voicing this character?
Building the relationships with each person in that world, you know, how she reacts, how she acts with this person versus this person. There's a lot of world building in this game and so many different relationships with so many different characters. And Donna is central to all of them in her world. And then when she's with Adol. And that was really fun and an interesting challenge as well.
Okay, so there's a really funny story about this where at the beginning of recording, this is very uncommon in the industry, but at the beginning of the recording, my throat was actually still rather ragged because I had just been recovering from some cold that I had caught when I was coming home from a family member's wedding. And I let them know about it at the time, and we decided to just move forward and see if we could, you know, adapt to it. And it actually worked out really well because, you know, Hummel, you know, he's a very reserved, he's very, you know, personal and introverted character. And I knew that the rasp would kind of like showcase, you know, how he had seen like the darker underbelly of the world, how he was taking a lot of things seriously. But normally I kind of have to push my voice down in order to get that rasp, and I was scared about making him sound too deep. But because of the way that the recovery from the cold made my throat naturally have a little bit of leftover gravel, of leftover rasp, it worked phenomenally for the character. I was able to keep him that young, youthful pitch, but with the natural rasp happening at the same time. So when later in the recording, when I would come back for future sessions, and I had recovered by then, and my voice was like much cleaner, much healthier sounding, I was panicked because I was like, oh no, how am I going to be able to make the rasp, you know, sound exactly the same as it was when I was still a little bit sick? And I'd like to think that I managed it well enough because I had experience with where to place it, but it was just one of those cases where normally something that would prevent you from doing a recording session actually enhanced, in my opinion, the sound of the character overall. So I'm just glad it worked out that way. You know, that's acting. It's taking what you got and working with it, and at best making it come across that is how it was always supposed to be.
What's your favorite Ys 8 song?
Another good part of this game is just honestly really, really good, but it was very, very, very hard to pick one, but I was just like, I just had to pick a flavor, you know what I mean? So I went with Deadly Temptation because that guitar and the notes are just so interesting, and I'm obsessed with interesting note structures and complex note structures as a songwriter myself, singer-songwriter. So that kind of really, and I don't do anything in the rock world, but anybody that can like smash that guitar like that, to me, is like, that's so cool, you know?
So the fact that Sunshine Coastline manages to capture the adventurous spirit that you would imagine from that area while still retaining the like almost hardcore metal or hardcore rock elements that the Ys franchise is so well known for, it's so good. If I play games and I feel myself like weaving and dodging with the movements of the character in time to the music, that's a sign that I'm having a really good time.
How do you relate to your character?
I've lost a lot of family, so a lot of loss. Same with Donna, or same difference, maybe not the exact same family members, but I also feel like sometimes I'm on a hero's journey like she is, where because I am a very growth-oriented person, so I do feel called to do the things that scare me the most. And so I'm always like overcoming strifes and rebuilding myself like a phoenix. And yeah, there's some, I never even thought about that, but now that you're asking me that, I'm like, that's really interesting. I guess we really do have some things in common.
As early as 3 to 5 years ago, I would have identified a lot closer to Hummel than I do now. I still do. There are elements of him that I identify with. Definitely back then when I was still trying to find my footing in the industry, it was best described as me just being a workhorse, where I felt like I had to constantly prove myself to the colleagues around me, and that my focus needed to be on the people who had actually hired me for the job. So I kind of turned inward. I was like, I'm going to just focus on this. I'm going to focus on this paycheck, on this gig, because how well I do on this gig may determine if I'm considered for future gigs, which is especially relevant when we talk about Ys, because my performance in Ys Memories of Celceta is directly what led to me having a chance to audition for Reen Schwarzer in Trails of Cold Steel. So nice little callback to that as well. But nowadays, I would say the work ethic is definitely still there. But I wouldn't say that I agree with Hummel as much on the whole keeping your past hidden to yourself and not being open about like when you need help and things like that. I think it can be easy when you feel like you don't want to place your burdens on anybody else, but it is important to develop those friendships, to develop that camaraderie with people who either share the pains you've had in life or want to support you in your successes, so that when you fall on hard times, you can rely on a whole group of people. That's the thing that a lot of people miss, is it is definitely dangerous to put all of your burdens on a single person. But if you have a support group of people, a whole group of friends who have shared experiences, who are able to chime in as needed when there's parts of your life that they can identify with, that is what people mean by having a good support group that you can turn to when you're not sure what to do by yourself. So, Hummel, I love you. I'm so glad that you were able to make friends with Adol and the rest of the group. But you don't need to be so brooding, my guy.
Did you know what a Lacrimosa was before working on the game? And what did you think it was?
This is fun. I definitely did not know what it was, but if I had to guess, I just want to come up with like a cheese. I didn't like have an idea of like what it could be, but maybe like it's either a black hole that takes you into like another dimension, or it's, I don't know. It's just, it kind of sounds, I don't know. Or is this like exotic like flower in Aruba that even if you look at it, you're gonna get poisoned and killed? It's like, oh my god, don't look at the Lacrimosa. It's like, oh my gosh. I don't know.
I was under the full expectation that Lacrimosa was just some fancy sounding name, like it was supposed to be part of like a fighting game intro. You know, like, the combatants have entered. Whose Lacrimosa will become king? You know, something like that. I thought it meant nothing. Like, I thought it was just a cool sounding word. And then I was like, wait, oh, Donna. Donna's the name of the character. Okay, it's the Lacrimosa of Donna. All right, well, maybe it does mean something. Maybe Lacrimosa is supposed to be like a ritual of something. Like maybe in their world, what they are performing is called the Lacrimosa or something like that.
A Lacrimosa is Latin for weeping or tearful. It's also a different word for requiem. All right, now it's time for the lightning round. Are you ready? Cats or dogs?
Cats.
For me, currently cats, but overall, I would say I'm more of a dog person.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
With the right toppings, yes. Without the right toppings, no. It's a hard no. So it's just so, yeah, there's conditions on my answer.
Absolutely not. Never, ever, ever. I will fight you on this.
What's your favorite day of the week?
Ooh, I'll pick. Why is this so hard for me to answer? I was like, what, am I having like, is this like a very personal question for me? I don't know. Like, I'll pick Saturday.
Thursday, believe it or not.
Cake or pie?
I don't have a sweet tooth. I'll just say cake, but I honestly don't have a sweet tooth, so either or.
Hands down pie.
Say a word in a different language.
Oh, adorabile, which means adorable in Italian.
Nani?
Dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
I'll say milk chocolate, I guess.
Milk chocolate. I like both, but and you have to be careful because there's milk chocolate that is sugared to the point of it being sickening. But well-made milk chocolate is very good.
What's a question you wish people asked you more?
I wish people asked me, I guess, about my music more. I love acting and I never, ever, ever don't want to act. But I also, like, as an artist, I feel like in general, artists have a few different things that they're really called to do and they love. And music is my other little dream artistic baby. And I would love to talk about my music more.
Hey, I'm really interested in getting into first-person dungeon crawlers, but I'm not sure where to start. Could you give me some recommendations? No. Like, this is a point where I would consider myself a guru of first-person dungeon crawlers.
Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
Oh Oh my god. So wrong. So wrong. Oh my god.
Not if they were planted there by somebody.
Do you have your own Netflix account, or do you use somebody else's?
Dude, this is where you do the slow zoom. I use my own.
I don't think either myself or my wife have a Netflix account. Shoot. I feel like I just kind of like bum it off of people whenever I'm visiting another house or if I'm at like a hotel or something like that. So I would say the appropriate answer is someone else's.
Which animal adds more joy to the world, squirrels or llamas?
Squirrels, because dogs love them.
I have to answer squirrels by obligation because I have actually tamed a squirrel. One day, I'm streaming and I would tend to leave the door open because I needed like good wind flow because it would get so warm in there. And all of a sudden my stream goes, Sean, is that a squirrel? And I'm like, what? And I look behind me and on the corner of my couch, staring at me, wondering if I'm about to be a major threat because I looked at it, is the squirrel that I had been feeding from the tree or at the tree outside of my apartment complex. But over the course of several weeks to several months, this squirrel would visit me in my apartment unprompted. But as long as I didn't make any sudden movements, he would just chill there. He would just walk around and explore the place. And yeah, so I had a squirrel friend for the better part of a year.
Do you have anything you want to say to or ask the fans?
I appreciate everybody's support so much. Thank you so much for all of the Donna love and the Ys 8 love. It just, yeah, acting makes me so deeply happy. So it means the world to me that you play the game and you enjoy it and any part of it touches you or you feel anything. Like that's the exciting part about acting, I think, is like you've put all your emotions into it, and then when people experience it, they feel things. And that feels very connective and exciting to me as an artist and as a human being. So I just love that. So I know we mentioned earlier that I would love it if people asked me more about my music. So in case anybody is interested, please follow me on Instagram at Brianna Knickerbocker, and I'll be posting videos, concept teasers, music video trailers, the whole shebang before the music or the song and music video releases on October 7th. I hope you'll check it out.
If you could have the ability set of any of the characters in Ys 8, who would it be and why? And ability set is different from, I would imagine, which character you would want to be. Because I may feel like I would enjoy being Hummel, or I might enjoy being Hydra or something like that. But I wouldn't necessarily want Hummel's skill set. I would want the skill set of someone who like dual wields, who goes in and makes really quick attacks and then dodges out of the way at the last second. I know that's the case because anytime in like MMOs where I play a character, if it's a 3D action game where I play a character that does really quick movements, I will find myself like leaning in the direction that they're dodging when I move out of the way. And that doesn't happen when I do like characters with big weapons or like characters who use guns. I don't find myself, kind of posing like I'm gonna shoot or like kind of puffing my chest out like I'm gonna swing. It's always with the fast dual wielders. So that is my question to you guys is, if you could have the skill set of any of the characters in Ys 8, who would it be and why?
Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Donna, is coming to the PS5 November 15th. Yay! I'm so excited. I hope you'll check it out.